much longer are you going to keep me waiting, Alana? At this rate, I'll be 6 feet under by the time you give me grandchildren like I told you to. You've disappointed me to no end, do you know that? What kind of a woman can't have one single baby? Honestly, I have a hard time even calling you a woman anymore. You're just a useless sack of meat, that's all you are. And to think we've allowed you the honor of living with us. How can you even bear with the shame of being such a disappointment to your mother and father-in-law?
Well, I guess this means you heard the news.
You got that right. My husband told me all about it. You went and lost another baby, didn't you? That poor baby. It had the misfortune of being placed into your God-forsaken womb. It's all your fault, by the way. You're either eating too much or too little, exercising too much or too little, or working too much or too little. If you could manage to live a healthy, well-balanced lifestyle, you wouldn't keep murdering all the babies you conceive.
I really wish I knew why this keeps happening to me. I know you're disappointed, and I am too, but I'm not giving up yet. Me and Ray are determined to have children, so we're going to keep trying. I know it's hard to wait, but wait and hope is all we can do.
I've done so much waiting that I've completely run out of hope. Meanwhile, what have I gained from it? Just more and more years of my life waiting for grandchildren that never come. And what about you, The older you get, the lower your chances are of ever having a baby. Not to mention the risk of your babies having issues skyrockets. What are you going to do if you finally give birth to a child that's grotesque and deformed?
I'd like to think that I would love that child with all of my heart because they're my child. I'm also not too comfortable with using words like grotesque to describe my baby, even if hypothetically.
Well, someone has to give you a dose of reality. You can hardly even get pregnant at all, and every child you do conceive doesn't even last to the second trimester. You're damaged goods, there's no other way to put it. My daughter, however, there's a real woman. She's fantastic, perfect in every way. She got pregnant practically the very moment that she got married.
Oh, is that right? I hadn't heard. Tell her I said congratulations.
I don't think I will, actually. It wouldn't mean anything coming from you. You should see the pictures she gave me from her last checkup. The baby just keeps growing and growing and growing. Both mother and child are doing superbly.
I'm sorry, Harriet. I don't think I can handle this conversation any longer. I just found out today that I had another miscarriage, and it's all I can do to hold myself together right now. Could you please leave me alone for a while?
Who do you think you are, telling me what to do? The reason you're struggling so much is that deep down you know that it's all your fault. I'll bet you were bringing home a different man every night of the week until you met my son. I mean, you're a high school dropout. All you types are good at is breeding, crime, and receiving welfare. It seems clear to me that you're now receiving the comeuppance for your loose morals.
That isn't true. I did not fool around like that. I've never received any welfare either. I worked hard to get where I am today.
Oh, yes. Well, let's talk about where we are today, shall we? You're barren, dried up, infertile, useless. A woman's job is to have babies. That's what we're made for. And you can't even do the bare minimum of what it means to be a woman. What does that make you, Harriet? What reason do you have for living anyway?
Being your son's wife, for starters.
You know, I hate to admit it, but you're right. That imbecile son of mine dropped out of high school just like you did. So, yes, you're absolutely perfect for each other, a couple of useless idiots. Why do I even bother with you two? There's nothing in it for me. And you know what? I think it's time we put an end to this farce. You've disappointed me for the last time, Alana.
I don't understand.
I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and now my mind is made up. I want to live with my daughter and her husband, not with you.
All right, so are you going to move?
What? Oh, don't be ridiculous. You're the ones who are moving, not us.
Wait, we're moving? What are you talking about?
Note to self, don't bother talking to high school dropouts. They don't even understand the English language. I'll use small words so you'll be sure to understand. You and Ray are going to move out of this house, and my daughter and her husband are going to move in. And I've already discussed the plan with my daughter, so it's a done deal. Don't bother objecting. You don't have any right to refuse.
This is awfully sudden. Have you talked to Ray about this yet?
No, I've already wasted enough time talking to one high school dropout today. You can tell him yourself. Oh, and one more thing. My daughter's going to have a lot of expenses coming up. Just the hospital bill for the birth will likely be several $1,000s. You and Ray don't have to worry about leaving money behind for anyone, so you can give the lion's share of your income to her. We'll start with $3,000 a month and see how things go.
You can't honestly expect us to do that.
It's up to you, Alana. You could always pay the whole amount by yourself every month. That would prove your worth, wouldn't it? If a high school dropout like you can earn $3,000 a month, maybe I'll take back some of the things I've said about you.
I shouldn't have to pay you money just to get you to stop belittling me. There's no way I would ever agree to do that. Why in the world would I pay a single cent to a sister-in-law who I don't even live with? After all, she's not a high school dropout, is she? She's more than capable of working to earn her own money.
Shut up, you insolent little girl. You married into this family. You knew what you were getting into. I am your mother-in-law, and what I say is the law.
You have no right to demand I move out.
Shut your mouth and get packing this instant.
This is unbelievable. I won't stand for this.
Hey, Alana. I am really sorry I couldn't answer the phone when you were calling me. I was in a meeting, so I had my phone turned off. I had no idea you were calling. I listened to your voicemail, though. This is just absolutely insane. I can't believe all of this is happening while I'm at work. Where are you right now? Are you doing okay? Your voice was trembling in your message. You seemed like you were really upset. Which, considering the circumstances, I can totally understand.
Hey, Ray, thanks for getting back to me. I'm better now, thanks. It took a while, but I managed to calm down. I'm really sorry to bother you while you're so busy at work. It's just, I was so shocked and confused by everything that the only thing I could think to do after your mom texted me was to call you. I bet it was just as surprising for you as it was for me.
You don't need to be worried about me at all. I'm fine. You're the one that I'm the most concerned about. I'm so sorry about my mom being the way that she is. If I would have just been more assertive with her, maybe she wouldn't be so harsh on you all the time.
I don't blame you at all, Ray. I'm sorry if that's how I came off, but that's not the case at all. It's just, well, she came at me talking about the baby again. I asked her as nicely as I could to drop the issue, that I wasn't in a place where I could talk about it right now. But then she just got even angrier at me and told me to pack up and move out. So I did.
Yeah, I know, and that's all right with me. Let's get the hell out of here, Alana, you and me. We'll move far away where she can't bother us anymore.
You mean you really do want to move?
Yeah, I've had all that I can take of this. I'm sorry I didn't make this decision sooner, honestly. It must have been terrible for you to deal with living with my mom for this long. It's just that I'm the oldest son of the family, so when my dad asked me what I thought about the four of us living together, I just went along with it. But now that I've seen the way that my mom is gonna treat my wife, I've known ever since I was a kid that she was on the strict side, but this is simply crossing the line. I can't stand to watch her bullying you anymore. You've put up with it for long enough. The thing is, I don't even think my mom knows I know what she's doing to you. She always puts on a good act while me and Dad are around, but the second that we leave the room, she starts right into criticizing you about every little thing. God, I don't know why I wasn't more straightforward in dealing with this. We minimized the time you two were alone together, and I was always talking to Dad about how great a wife you were while Mom was in earshot. I thought that would be enough, but I was so wrong.
It's okay, Ray, I know. You were doing the best that you could to protect me from your mom in your own way. I could have done more to be assertive with her myself. But with her being my mother-in-law and all, I guess I sort of figured that this was the way it was going to be. So I resigned myself to dealing with her harassment and held on to hope that one day she would come around and we could have a normal relationship. But now I can see that day is never going to come.
Those are my thoughts exactly. That's why I think the best thing we can do is to get as far away from her as we can. Fortunately for me, I have a job that I don't need to be in the office for, so we can move somewhere with better weather and a lower cost of living. That way we can finally live in peace together, and I'll be able to focus more on my work, too. I know you've got a lot of pent-up stress from the time that we've been living together with them, and you deserve a break, and a permanent one at that. And since Mom has conveniently kicked us out of the house, this seems like the best opportunity we could ask for. Let's get out of here tonight!
Ray, are you sure about this?
Of course I am! I've never been more sure about anything, other than the day I asked you to be my wife. You can leave all of the details to me. I'll handle everything. All you need to do is relax. Get a hotel room for us, take a nice bath, watch some TV, order some room service. You've got all the essentials packed up with you, right?
Yeah, I have all our valuables, clothes, everything is packed up.
Then it's settled. Once you get a room, let me know where. I'll get us 2 plane tickets for the first flight tomorrow morning.
Sounds great.
Well. I have to admit, I never thought it would be this easy to get rid of the two of you. I wonder what you failures are up to right now. I'll bet that useless woman of yours is curled up in a ball, crying her eyes out and pretending like she's not responsible for everything.
We're on vacation right now, Mom. We're far too busy enjoying ourselves to waste any time or energy dealing with you. What do you want with me anyway? If you have something to say, then say it. If you don't want to live with us anymore, that's fine. You're welcome to move out of the house whenever you'd like.
That's some awfully big talk coming from you. After all, we're the ones who allowed you the privilege of living with us all this time. Did you think we'd let you leech off us for the rest of your life?
Excuse me? Who's leeching off who now? You're the ones who are living in my house. I'm the one who bought that house. My name is on the deed. So if anything, you and Dad are the ones who are leeching off me. You know what's big talk? Trying to kick someone out of their own house like you did to me and Alana last night.
What? No, that's ridiculous. Stop these silly lies at once. This is your father's house, not yours. He's the one who pays for everything. How dare you try to claim credit for that?
I don't know what to tell you, Mom. You're just plain wrong. I have no idea where you got the idea that Dad's the one who bought the house. We're an old-fashioned family with old-fashioned values, and I don't have any opposition to that in principle. That's why I decided that as your oldest son, letting you live with us would be a good way to honor the two of you for bringing me into this world. But that was before I saw the way you were treating Alana. I've changed my mind.
That can't be true. Oh, I get it. You must have borrowed the money to buy the house from your father.
Nope. Wrong again. I haven't borrowed 1 single cent from you or Dad. The house is mine, plain and simple, so you don't have any right to kick us out.
I had no idea. Well, in any case, you're leaving, aren't you? That's fine. You can simply sign the deed over to your father and I. I think that would be a fitting way to repay you for everything we've done for you all your life. Really, anything less than giving up the house would be a disgraceful act of betrayal.
Exactly what have you done for us, Mom? Can you name a single thing? I don't even think you've washed a single dish or cooked a single meal in all the time you've lived with us. You just verbally abused Alana while she did everything.
All I was doing was telling her how to be a better housekeeper. I mean, that woman can't do anything right. She can't even keep a baby alive inside of her for more than a month or 2. I'll bet you regret marrying her every single time you see her face.
Don't you dare insult my wife like that! My God, you are such a thick-headed old hag! What do I have to do to get you to stop insulting my wife?
What did you just call me? You can't talk to me that way. I'm your mother. I thought you couldn't disappoint me any more than the day you dropped out of high school. But now I see that your stupidity, insolence, and lack of respect truly knows no bounds. I think marrying that stupid girl has only made you even dumber than you already were.
You can call me stupid as much as you like, Mom. I've heard it all already. You can't hurt me anymore. but I am not going to allow you to insult Alana anymore. Did you even know that her dad died back when she was just a kid? Her mom had to raise her and her sister all by herself. Alana willingly dropped out of high school in order to work so the family would have enough money to live on and her little sister would be able to go to college. You were fortunate enough to be born into a moderately wealthy family, so you were free to go to any college you wanted. And if going to college was what turned you into the vile, narcissistic monster you are now, then I'm glad I dropped out of high school.
Ugh, and there it is, sour grapes. You're too stupid to get a college degree, so you cling to any excuse you can find to convince yourself you don't want one. If you want my advice, just stop talking about the subject altogether. Every single word you say only makes you look dumber.
You don't like living with an idiot like me, huh? Well, then how's about you get out of that idiot's house? This is your warning. You're not welcome there anymore. I am officially ordering you to vacate the premises immediately.
That's adorable. You think you can tell me what to do? Well, too bad. I'm having a jolly old time here with your sister and her husband. The two of you can go and find a comfortable cardboard box to sleep in for all I care.
Right. Enjoy living there while you can. It's not gonna last much longer.
Hey, what's going on, Alana? When are you going to send $3,000 you owe me for this month? I have bills to pay, you know.
You want to know when I'm going to send it? Okay, here's your answer. Never. Like, did you actually expect that I was just gonna do what you say?
Of course you have to do as I say. I'm your mother-in-law. What I say is law, remember? I don't have a job, so how am I supposed to pay for everything I need without the money I demanded from you?
Oh my God, this is rich. You actually thought I was gonna do it. And even better, you thought that telling me that you're unemployed was going to make me more likely to give you money? If you want some help paying your bills this month, here's some free advice for you. Get a job, you lazy old bag.
You snotty little upstart, you can't talk to me that way. I deigned to allow you to marry my idiot son. Don't you feel any gratitude to me at all?
Let me see. Nope, none at all. You haven't even done a single thing for me that I should be grateful for. And to top it all off, you told me to get out of my own house. As far as I'm concerned, that right there was a declaration of war. We're not family anymore.
That is not for you to decide. As long as you're married to my son, you must do as I say. And another thing, what's this nonsense someone from the sheriff's office gave me today? Something about a writ of possession?
Didn't the sheriff explain what it meant when he gave it to you? It's simple. Ray told you to get out of the house, didn't he? And yet here you are, 4 weeks later, still living in his house. So he decided to take the legal remedies against you that are available to him. This was the first step in the eviction process.
Nonsense! Absolute nonsense! This is my house!
And just what gives him the right to make that claim, Just so you know, we have a lawyer who's taking care of everything for us. If you don't comply with the writ of possession, then we'll just have to escalate our case against you.
But you can't do that.
We can, actually, and your daughter and her husband are cool with it. I was planning on heading back there soon to talk to them about it, but they were surprisingly quick to agree to leave when I talked to them. So you're the only person who's being difficult.
Wait, they've already agreed to leave? They haven't said anything about that to me.
Your daughter's husband is quite a reasonable guy. I told him all about how you kicked me out of my own house to let them live there, then tried to extort me for $3,000 a month. It seems that he was under the impression that they were just going to be staying with you for a week or so. Then a week turned into 2 weeks, then into a whole month. Then he finally discovered that they were moving in with you. He wasn't very happy to be deceived like that. Plus, he was absolutely stunned by how lazy you were and how little you helped out around the house. If they didn't tell you anything, it's probably because he's just been avoiding talking to you. He's already told your daughter that they're moving out, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Is that why he seemed so distant these last few weeks? I thought he was just being childish about the whole thing.
By the whole thing, you mean you and your daughter lying to him, right? Oh, and speaking of lies, let's think back to the day of our wedding. You were working the reception desk and you took the liberty of taking all the cards containing money for safekeeping. Whatever happened to that money?
Well,
Oh, don't bother, I already know. You gambled it all away.
hold on, this doesn't make any sense. How? How did you know about that?
What do you think I am, Harriet? A 5-year-old? You said you were going to hold on to it for safekeeping, and that was the last we ever heard of it. We were obviously going to get suspicious about where all that money went at some point. Plus, why would we need you to keep it safe for us anyway? We had a locked box there at the reception table for people to put it in. Oh, and as long as we're on the topic of you taking other people's money, we also went ahead and told your husband about how you spent all of Ray's savings, too.
What? There's no way. There is no possible way you could know about that. I never even told Ray.
Yeah, neither of us ever knew about a savings account in Ray's name until your husband told us about it. He asked us what we ended up doing with that money, at which point I turned to Ray only to see a shocked expression on his face. Your husband had no idea about all the money being gone, so that means you must have used it all yourself. You started out by putting money in there regularly for his birthday, Christmas, and other special occasions. But then one day, all of a sudden, you started making some large withdrawals. That was when you started gambling, wasn't it?
Tell me what's going on right now. How did you know about all the money I took out?
Don't you know how banks work? It's Ray's account, so obviously he has the right to view a simple transaction history. That's how we know exactly how much was in there and how much you took out.
I haven't done anything wrong. I'm the one who put that money in there in the first place. I had every right to use it how I pleased.
Really, Harriet, it's all right. You don't need to embarrass yourself by trying to justify what you did. Ray isn't even all that broken up about it. He never even knew that money existed in the first place, so he doesn't feel like he lost anything. And besides, that's not even the real reason I'm angry at you. Do you remember why Ray dropped out of high school?
What? Why are you bringing that up all of a sudden?
For as long as I've known you, you've been constantly looking down on the two of us for being high school dropouts. You even did some of the most childish name-calling I've ever heard from someone as old as you. If you want to mock me, that's fine, but not Ray. The entire reason he dropped out of high school was because your husband got injured and lost his job. He didn't even think twice about sacrificing his own future in order to ensure that the family's needs were met, and so his little sister could follow her college dreams. So he dropped out of high school and started working.
Oh, I suppose he did. But he's a man, isn't he? That's what men are supposed to do, work to support their family.
Wow, isn't that something? You have an incredible ability to invent the worst excuses possible for your bad behavior out of thin air. You can't believe that it's a man's role to work for the family and use that to justify making Ray work in your husband's place. Or you can believe that high school dropouts are all morons and use that as justification to mock and demean your son for dropping out. You can't have it both ways, though. Plus, aren't you forgetting another able-bodied person in your household?
You mean my daughter?
I mean you idiot. You could have at least gotten a part-time job. That, plus your husband's disability benefits, should have been more than enough to allow Ray to finish high school and go on to college. Not to mention all the money that Ray had in his bank account. If you had given him that money instead of using it on yourself, he would have been able to go to college with no problem.
Why are you so determined to dredge up all these matters that are over and done with anyway? Can't we move on and think about the future?
Oh, don't worry, we're getting there. You never told any of this to your daughter either, and your husband was opposed to your decision not to work at the start. But then, wouldn't you know it, you came down with a severe depression and couldn't work. One that was never properly diagnosed, by the way. You made that all up, didn't you?
You can't prove I made it up.
Then can you show me an official diagnosis?
I lost it years ago and I'm better now.
I see. So you still won't fess up, huh? Well, I think you'll have a much harder time dodging responsibility once our lawyer comes after you. He's very good, I should warn you. Once we give him the go-ahead, he'll swoop in on you like a hawk. We'll get all the information we need to crush you in no time. You have no chance against us in court, unless you can somehow hire yourself a lawyer as good as ours. But you don't really have that kind of money, do you?
I'll be fine. All I need to do is ask my husband for the money and I'll hire a lawyer better than yours.
Oh, Harriet, you poor thing. You still don't get it, do you? Your husband knows everything now. He's not going to take your side. Actually, he apologized to Ray for not catching on to you sooner. Even if your daughter has had a massive change of heart, once she found out that Ray sacrificed his own dreams in order to support her, she rushed right over to thank him for everything and apologize for not treating him better. We're having a little family conference right now.
What? Right now?
That's right. Pretty good timing, isn't it? I knew you'd be going to the casino today, so I called everyone over here to have a little chat about you. I was hoping to get everyone in the family to choose whose side they would take before going any further. And do you know how many of them said they were going to side with you? 0. Not one single person. I was planning on filling you in on the results of our meeting at a later date, but since you went out of your way to text me, I thought I might as well let you know right now.
You mean you knew I was at the casino?
Yes, and I'm guessing that you're most likely standing in front of their ATM machine right now. You were just about to withdraw the money you assumed I would send you to hit the tables, but instead saw a big fat 0. That's why you texted me, isn't it? You're so transparent. As for why I know you're at the casino, we hired the best lawyer around who just so happens to know the best private detective around. He told us all about your typical schedule, including when you go and do your gambling. If you'll just wait there a moment, the family and I are heading inside to talk to you right now. Just do us a favor and don't try and run. It'll only delay the inevitable. When we all went inside, Harriet was making a mad dash to the restroom. However, one of the casino security guards got to her before we did. It seems as though she wasn't coming to gamble today. She was coming to pay off her gambling debts. That's why she was so desperate to get her hands on my money. The guard was kind enough to let us have first dibs at her, though, and did us the favor of allowing us to use their conference room free of charge. My father-in-law didn't even have to say a single word to her for her to crack. All he needed to do was stand there and stare at her, his face beet red with shame and anger. Harriet immediately dropped to her knees and started begging us for forgiveness. Seeing such an old woman so desperate like that was pretty hard to watch, but at the same time, it was super satisfying. Now that she knew the truth about her brother, Ray's sister's attitudes towards us changed completely, and we have a pretty good relationship now. She and her husband both said they don't want anything to do with Harriet anymore. As for me and Ray, cutting ties with Harriet has brought a new sense of peace to our lives. Without the stress of dealing with Harriet's constant abuse, I was able to get pregnant soon afterward. I'm several months into my pregnancy, and the baby is growing healthy and strong. Naturally, Harriet was divorced by her husband and had to start a new life on her own. Couple that with her gambling debts, and that means she has to do the one thing she's been doing her best to avoid for all her life: work. It doesn't seem like her college degree is helping her out, though. She gets interviews, but once they see what a terrible person she is, they transition right into, actually, the position has already been filled.